So I know I've made several videos about Devarajan Master and the sheer virtuosity of his music and why he still remains one of my favorite musicians of all time. But if I were to make one more video about him, it would be this video, and it's about something that I've noticed recently in a lot of his compositions. So അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ പാട്ട് കേൾക്കുമ്പോൾ there's I don't know if other people here, but at least I always think that there's a Devarajan stamp on each of his songs, right? And of course he's done the music and it's beautiful, but there's a stamp that it almost feels like the singers are singing it, but they're replicating Devarajan Master's exact, even like the method of the way that, like the method in which he sings. Especially, even if you look at his drama songs, the way he sung some of them, right? There's something called a kunaka that I found out. So in his film songs, whether Yeshudas sir, Janagima, Madhuriyamma, Sushilamma, Jayachandran sir, whether anyone sings, that kunak is always present in his compositions, and that's what I'm going to present about today in this video. So to start off with, one of my most favorite compositions that has this kunaka is actually a composition sung by Devarajan Master in the 50s. I've sung it many times before on my channel, but it's Tunja Paramile Tappe. So one thing to note before I sing this is he saying this, what I heard is as a vritam at the end of kacheris, right? So this is, I mean, you could literally put this into a kacheri and it would not make, it would make perfect sense. So where the kunak comes in E part lays through here. There's a lot of very, very beautiful kunaks that he's done, especially for the Mohanam based Daga songs that he's done, almost like the 50, 60. Each of them has a kunak, and a lot of them he used it beautifully in similar ways too. So if you look at Manyalayil Mungitorti, Jayachandran sir's first release song, Manyalayil Mungitorti, Sada sa 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 ri ri sada sada, Manyalayil Mungitorti, Dhanumasa Chandriga Vannu. Or if you look at Devadaru Putanaluru Devakumariye Kandunya Kandunya. The minor brigas that Devarajan Master puts, Devadaru Putanaluru Devakumar Gapaga Dapaga Paga Sari Gapagari Dasa Sapada Devakumari Kandunyan Kandunyan Devakumari Kandunyan. Or if you look at Pundenaruvi Ponmudi Purayude Anujati. There's a clip that I found of Devarajan Master singing this himself, and that Pundenaruvi Ponmudi Purayude Anujati Anujati Namukore Prayam Namukore Moham Namukore Daham Pundenaruvi. It's not straight if you listen to that Pundenaruvi. If you listen to the way that Sushilamma has sung, it's almost as if she's replicating exactly what comes out of Devarajan Master's throat, because it's not Pundenaruvi Pundenaruvi. There's a ga. It's a gandharam, it starts straight. Pundenaruvi Ponmudi Purayude Anujati Rigari Sada Ti. It's not that. Rigari Sada Namukore Prayam Namukore Daham. So that's one prominent way that Devarajan Master has used the kunaka. Like in some obvious ways like that, But even in his slower paced compositions, that's another thing to note. It's not just in these sort of raga based compositions or melodic songs. He's used it even in lullabies and folk songs, drama songs. One of his more famous drama songs that he himself has sung is Kaatinde Thonil Poomana Meti Akare Nika Akare Kare Pono Re Ninne Povunu Ninne Po Oru Nullu Poomanam Tanne Po. That's not the way you sing it though. It's Tanne Po Oru Nullu Poomanam Tanne Po. Even if you look at it, Mari Villin Ten Malari Manyu Pogayo Manyu Pogayo Gapada Bagabagari Mari Villin. The reason I'm saying that's not the way you sing is because if you look at if there's no like kan swar attached to it, the main swaras are gari sa sa mari villinga pagagari sa sa. That's the way K.S. George has sung it beautifully, right? And you can almost feel it's Devarajan Master singing himself. There's a stamp on each of his combinations, Sita Devi Swayamvaram Chedoru Tredayugatile. That say Tredayugatile Sri Raman Kalviral Kondonu Totta Pol Pande Katile Kalluru Mohiniyai. There's so many just different these minute variations that if it comes in anyone else's song, it would sound so natural. But because it's Devarajan Master's song, I mean, it's literally the perfect composition. It makes it all the more perfect. If you listen to certain songs, like Onnini Shruditarti Paduka Punguile Yenno Malurakamai Mai Unatarude Yenno Malurakamai Unatarude. There may be 5 different gurks in that one phrase alone, but it's so Urakamai. That urakatindu, that sleep feeling, Urakamai, is not the same kunaka that Devarajan Master used in Sita Devi. It's there's a different feeling or kunaka for each song that he used. Even Chalanam has a kunaka. Chalanam Manava Jivita Parinamatin Mayura Sandesham. Those are small. Mayura Sandesham, because the song is about fast movement, right? So Chalanam, that's what it means, obviously, movement. So Mayura Sandesham Papani Pamamani Pamama Papani Pamagama Chalanam. So that's some of the ways that Devarajan Master used kunaks in a lot of his songs. So another thing about his kunaka, his specialty, is sort of variation, that minute variation that almost makes that phrase of a song as beautiful as it is sort of the way he does it in his raga style compositions or devotional songs especially. One of my favorites being Ambala Parambile Ramatile Chembarati Puve Angachamayatilani Aniyani Tiri Sinduramundo Sinduram. He doesn't overuse it by any means, but because all the other notes are just like, it uses mean and uses just gliding techniques. Angachamayatilani Tiri Sindhu da pa ma ga ma pa ga ma re ga ma pa pa. That gamagam that he uses in Begada, it feels like almost I can almost hear Devarajan Master singing this composition himself. And going back to how he uses kunuk in devotional songs, right? Chetti mandaram tulasi pichaga malagal shati Guru Vayurappa ninne kani. It's not kani. It's not kani kanenam. Kani pa pa ma kare ga sa chetti mandaram tulasi pichaga maragal chati Guru Vayurappa ninne kani kanenam. Even in the first song that he gave to SPB sir, ee kadalum maru kadalum bhumi umma kadalum. It's the same kunaka he used everywhere. Ee kadalum maru kadalum bhumi umma navum kadannu പതിനാല് ലോകങ്ങൾ കാണാൻ ഇവിടന്നു പോണവരെ അവിടെ മനുഷ്യനുണ്ടോ അവിടെ മതങ്ങളുണ്ടോ ഈ കടലും മറുകടലും ഭൂമിയും മാനവും കടന്നു. Those kunuks that happen at kadalum makes the song so like wonderful to hear. And I mean that's just a general overview of how Devarajan Master has used kunuks in his devotional songs. And then going back to his raga based compositions once again, one of my personal favorites is the way he's used this variation in Samyamanga Nrityaname. Because if you notice at a lot of his raga-based compositions, especially Sahamadhyaname, Ambala Parambile, Pultingal Kala, if you notice the phrases to sing in there, they're so wonderful to hear, yet they're so exponentially hard to sing. And I heard Devarajan Master used to sing Carnatic like this. There's a big similarity to note here, I believe. Tunjambaramle Tatte, there's one Sangadi. Mani Veenagal Meetiyadatte Manivi Rigamagari Sasari Sada Sangalpa Sangita Swarkam Tirtha Changambudayudu Tatte. That speed that Devarajan Master sings it at. For even the Araparam in Nada Brahmatin, right? The next fast bit of Alaparam that comes between. That you could almost imagine that's how Devarajan Master like wanted to, like of course every composition of his he made sure that the singer sang it in the exact way that he intended, right? But that's you can almost think of it as a substitute for an alaparam that he might have sung while singing a kirtanam in Kalyani during one of his kacheris, because that's the speed that he sings at. Even because that Tunjambrahma Tatte Sangadi in Mohanam and this one and the way he's composed it in Kalyani, I mean it gives an insight to as like the genius that he was as a classical musician as well. And if you look at Samyamanga Nrityaname, there's a kunuk there as well, and there's this impossible variation to do as well. So that's the beauty of Samyamanga Nrityaname. So I'll just sing it right now and demonstrate. Samyamagandhorudhyaname Kalpagodhyaname Ninde കഥകളി മുദ്രയാം കമലദളത്തിലൻ ദേവിയുണ്ടോ ദേവി സാമ്യമകന്നോരുധ്യാനമേ. And then next stanza, ലാവണ്യവതികൾ ലാളിച്ചു വളർത്തും ദേവഹംസങ്ങളെ there's that beautiful variation there, but it's so hard to do in that sequence as well. Dani da pa dani sa ri ri sa ri ga ma ga ri ni da ri sa da ni sa ri ri ga ma ri sa ri ga ma ga ri sa ri sa ni da ma da ni sa ni da pa ma Devi undo Devi Devi undo Devi undo. It's not that. Devi undo Mani da sa ni da pa mani pa ga ga. Of course, you have to acknowledge that Karare Priya and Begada and even Polting Kalyani with Nada Brahmatin, the way he's used, I mean, those ragas naturally, when you're singing them in a Carnatic Kacheri style, they have gamagas in them. That's what makes Carnatic music beautiful. It's the way gamagas are sung in those notes, right? That's what makes it different and beautiful compared to where Hindustani music, you have the beauty in the straightness of its notes and the mean of its notes. But Devarajan Master, he adds an extra, inch to that, and he adds his own stamp of these ragas. That's why if you look at 50 of his compositions in Mohanam, all of them have their unique stamp in Malayalam music. If you look at 20 of his compositions in Kalyani, Yende swapnatin tamara puigayil vannirangi rupavati Rupavati. There's certain small variations like that you can count as a kunaka. It's not the same as in Pultingal Kala where Satya Shiva Saundaryangal Tan. It's both are Kalyani based, but one is based on a more devotional, classical, heavy situation, while another one's a beautiful romantic song by itself. And he knew how to incorporate the different, like the classical side of a raga on one hand, and then also the romantic, the playful side of a raga on one hand, the lighter side of a raga. That's what he simplified classical music to its most beautiful and simplest form. Because when you heard Nada Brahmatin, Poltingal Kala, any other song, Ambadi Tannilurunni, which is based on the beautiful raga of Neelambari, even that has a kunaka. Ambadi Tannilurunni. The Neelambari, I don't know if it normally has that. I think it does have that kunaka normally in its compositions, but Ambadi Tanniluru Kalyani Kalavani Chullammidi Chulli Vellittarvaru He incorporates signature phrases of, that's a signature phrase of the ragam Neelambari in Carnatic music. He puts that into his composition so effortlessly, and then he puts his own stamp into it as well. That's why Ambadi Tannilurunni and if you look at Ambadi Tannilurunni and as well as Kalyani Kalavani, both are Neelambari and both are based on the same raga, but they're so unique in the flavors and the stamps that he's put. He put two different stamps on the same raga and made both of those stamps so beautiful. I think that was the greatest gift that Devarajan Master possessed and developed over time. Even if you look at his later compositions, Arigil Ni undayirunengilennu njan oru matra മാത്രയിലെ ഒരു കുണുക്ക് ഒരു മാത്ര വെറുതെ നിനച്ചു പോയി ഒരു മാത്ര വെറുതെ നിനച്ചു പോയി. So that's basically just an overview of how Devarajan Master used that kunaka, that variation to establish his own stamp, and to know that when you heard one of his songs, it couldn't be anyone else but him.